Welcome to Victor Narrates Reddit. Like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next story. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Now, let's begin. I caught my wife cheating on me in my bed, so I called her lover's wife, and it all ended badly. I, a 39-year-old man, have been married to Jen, a 36-year-old woman, for 7 years. We don't have children. We've always valued our freedom. We had a happy and fun life. We worked hard at our jobs and enjoyed our weekends to the fullest. We met in college, dated throughout grad school, and even managed to survive a long-distance relationship when she got a job out of state. We used to joke that if we could get through that, we could get through anything. Turns out we couldn't. Before I get to the point, let me make it clear that there was never a single red flag. Absolutely none. There were no sudden changes in her behavior. She wasn't hiding her phone or constantly texting. She didn't go out at odd hours or change her wardrobe. She came home from work on time. She wasn't staying out late or partying. There were no secrets or unexplained late nights. She wasn't the type to jealously guard her phone or change her habits overnight. We had our routines, dinner together most nights, binging series on weekends, getting coffee on Sunday mornings. Everything was predictable in the best way possible, which is why what happened still doesn't feel real. One of our close friends from college was visiting town. He's like family to us and a brother to me. I took the day off to pick him up from the airport and drove back home, planning to surprise Jen when she got back from work. It was supposed to be just a good day. However, as we pulled into the driveway, I noticed a car parked outside. It wasn't ours, and I didn't recognize it. I remember thinking maybe it was a neighbor's guest, but then I saw Jen's car was still in our garage. It was strange because I didn't remember her telling me she was taking the day off or that someone was coming over. It's funny how instincts work. Even though there were no prior red flags, I felt a chill run down my spine, telling me something wasn't right. I parked my car a few houses down and told my friend to be quiet and follow me. The house was locked, so I used my key to get in. When we entered, everything was too quiet at first. Then, as we tiptoed towards the bedroom, I heard the sound of a soft laugh. It was Jen's voice. The moment was too brief for me to remember it properly, and I don't know how to explain what happened next. When I reached our bedroom door, I heard a man's voice. There were giggles, moans, and I don't know what else. I pushed the door open. Everything became a blur. Some guy was on top of my wife. In my bed, in my house. They panicked. I pulled out my phone and started recording. My friend was behind me, but when he saw the situation inside, he said he'd wait outside. The lover jumped up in horror and tried to escape, but got tangled in the bedsheet. He stumbled and fell to the floor. It would have been a hilarious scene if my wife hadn't been tangled in that sheet with him. She was scrambling to reach his clothes, which were scattered on the floor near the door. I picked them up and threw them into the hallway. They were both screaming and cursing from the shock of what had just happened. It was total chaos. The guy, Trevor, moved towards me, intending to charge, but I yelled, "Don't even try it. I assure you, you don't want to end up in the hospital." He knew he couldn't fight me. He wasn't stupid enough to try either. Besides, my friend was outside, so he backed off. Jen was begging me to let her lover go and that she would explain everything later. The guy was trying to cover himself while I just stood there, trying to process the scene I had just walked into. I couldn't believe she was still trying to protect him, begging me to let him go. I didn't say a word, nor did I touch anyone. I only spoke to say, "I want both of you to tell me on camera what's happening here right now." Jen begged me to stop recording, saying it was humiliating. I replied, "I'm not letting anyone leave this room without knowing the whole truth." The lover was trying hard to cover his face, but there was no escape. She kept repeating that it was their first time and that she would tell me everything later. I demanded it now, and in full detail. They confessed it started with flirting at the office and then moved on to first base, holding hands in the elevator, hugging, and kissing in the basement. They said they had been thinking about it for months, but hadn't done anything until today. I ordered him to get straight to the point. Jen tried to talk over him, saying it wasn't what it looked like, that it was a mistake and wasn't supposed to happen. I yelled at her furiously, "I want the truth, and I want it now." I wasn't foolish enough to believe it was their first time, considering she had brought him into my own home. You only do that when you feel completely confident. When the lover saw I wasn't joking, he caved. He admitted they had been seeing each other for 3 or 4 months. They would meet at hotels, and this was indeed the first time they had met at my house. He said he was sorry, that it just happened. I replied that nothing just happens for months. His phone was on the table near the door. I grabbed it and demanded the password. He resisted and begged me not to ruin everything. I threatened to go live on Facebook to show everyone in real time, so he gave in. I opened his contacts, found his wife's name, and hit the video call button. She answered with a big smile. "Hey, baby," thinking it was him. Then she saw me and panicked. She thought he was in trouble, maybe in an accident, and asked, "Where is he? Is he okay?" I said, "Hi, you don't know me, but I need to show you something." I switched to the rear camera and gave her a view of my bedroom. Jen tried to hide under the sheet, but it was too late. By that point, the lover had given up. He didn't even try to hide. He just sat there with a defeated look on his face. "Well, here's your husband on top of my wife in my bedroom. If you need more information, send me a message." I have his confession on video. She broke down in tears. I gave her my number, she wrote it down, thanked me, and asked me to turn the phone back to her husband so she could tell him, "Don't even bother coming home. I'm sending your stuff to your parents' house." And she hung up. The lover begged me to delete the recording. I ordered him to get out. He hesitated, making a last-ditch effort to snatch the phone from me, perhaps to delete the video. But I warned him, "You move towards me, I'll break your bones. Better grab your things and get out." I gave him space to leave the bedroom. As he was picking up his clothes from the hallway, my friend lunged at him and landed a solid punch. I came out and nodded to my friend to let him go. The lover left, steeped in shame and humiliation. My friend gave me a look, one of those silent looks between friends that means, "I'm with you." Then he also left quietly, saying he'd wait outside. Jen put on her robe and came out to the living room. She grabbed my arms, crying and saying, "Please listen to me. Can I explain? Please." I didn't answer. There was nothing left to talk about. I just took my phone, grabbed my keys, and left with my friend. We checked into a hotel that night. Neither of us said much for hours. We ordered a bottle of whiskey, sat in silence, and started looking up divorce lawyers. By midnight, I had already filled out 2 online consultation forms. By 2 a.m., we were both drunk and passed out. That was 2 nights ago. He flew back home this morning because he had meetings to attend. The silence in the room feels heavier now. Everything is a blur. I keep replaying the moment I opened that door, trying to convince myself it wasn't real. I haven't spoken to Jen since. She sent a few texts, mostly saying she's sorry, that it was a mistake, that she didn't mean for it to happen. I haven't replied. I can't even express what I'm feeling right now. I'm angry, furious, sad, and heartbroken all at the same time. I'm trying to push past all the emotions and focus solely on what's next. Finding a place to move, finalizing the lawyer, and making a clean break. Any advice on how to navigate this would be a great help because it feels unbearable. Update when it's been 5 days since that night. I finally went back to the house yesterday to pick up some of my things. I intentionally went when she was there. I didn't want to sneak around. She needed to see what it feels like to watch your world crumble in front of you. I walked in and found her lying on the couch, looking shattered. Her hair was up, her eyes were puffy, and it looked like something was eating her alive. She whispered my name as if she wasn't sure I would answer. I didn't. I just walked past her and started packing. She followed me around the room, talking the whole time, saying she was sorry, that she had made the biggest mistake of her life, and that it meant nothing. The usual lines. But then she said something that made me stop for a second. She said, "You can't just throw away everything we had over one mistake. We built a life together. Please, I deserve at least a chance to fix it." That word, deserve, really struck a nerve. I looked at her and asked, "You think you deserve a chance? You took every chance we had and threw it away on that bed. You don't deserve my forgiveness. You can ask for it, sure, but you can't demand it like it's owed to you." She started crying harder, begging me to stay and talk. She promised to do absolutely anything to save the marriage. She said she quit her job, cut off all contact with everyone at her workplace, go to therapy, whatever it took. I told her, "You're watering a dead plant. Our marriage is rotten. There's nothing that can save it. I finished packing my clothes. I took some personal items and also our cat, whom I had adopted 2 years ago and who had since become an integral part of our lives. She tried to fight me on this, saying she deserved the cat too. I replied that she had lost all rights to me and everything I have, including my cat. She pleaded and begged me not to end it. Before I left, I warned her that I would be serving her divorce papers next week. She told me she wouldn't sign them, that we could still make this work if I would just talk to her one time. I replied, "You already had your talk with him in my bed." And that was it. I walked out. She tried to follow me to the driveway, but I got in my car and drove away. I thought I would feel angry again, but I didn't. I just feel empty, as if I've finally exhausted every emotion I had for her. Right now, I'm staying with my brother until I find my own place. I've already secured a small apartment, but it will take a week for me to get access. I never thought I'd have to crash at someone else's place at this age, but here I am. It's depressing, honestly. My friend is in constant contact, checking on me every day, but there are voids that no one can fill. I'm using this space as a form of writing therapy. Maybe it will help me move forward. We'll see. Update 2. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment closer to my office. 2 weeks after I packed my things and left the house, I received a message from an unknown number. It was the lover's wife. She wanted to talk. I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. We agreed to talk later that evening. When I answered her call, she got straight to the point. She wanted the video. I clarified that I had no intention of posting it anywhere. I had used it for my revenge in the moment, but was keeping it for legal purposes. She told me she didn't care about public humiliation. She just wanted the proof for her divorce lawyer. I asked if she was sure she wanted to see it, and she replied that she was ready to face whatever came. So I sent her a short clip, not the full video, just enough to confirm what had happened. She didn't say anything for a full minute. I heard a sob, as if she had been holding back tears for days. She thanked me for showing her the truth that night. She said it was the worst and best thing that could have happened to her, and told me what happened between her and her husband after my video call. She immediately packed his clothes and belongings and left them outside their apartment. She deadbolted the door from the inside, so he couldn't get in even with his keys. He knocked and begged her to talk, asking for a chance to explain. She didn't give in, demanding he leave and calling her lawyer. The infidelity completely destroyed her. She had suspected it for a long time and had even confronted him, but he would gaslight her, making it seem like she was the problem, that she was insecure and had trust issues. It affected her so much that she lost her self-confidence and even fell into a depression. He always kept his phone clean, so she wouldn't find anything if she checked it. She told me it was her gut instinct that warned her something was wrong. But without evidence, she started to doubt herself. I asked her how she could feel something was wrong when there were no obvious red flags. She explained it was just a hunch. Even though he never hid his phone or came home late, it was certain details, like his attitude in bed, that gave her the vibe he was already getting satisfaction elsewhere. When she told me this, I truly envied her. I mean, she could sense something was off even though everything seemed perfect. While in the same situation, with no red flags, I thought everything was perfectly fine. I couldn't suspect anything in bed. We had relations regularly. As always, no more, no less. Do women have some special sense for catching a vibe? Or am I just stupid? Anyway, she reached out because she wanted to inform me about something. She had already served the lover with divorce papers, and the lawyer arranged a meeting before proceeding. She agreed because she wanted answers. He confessed in that meeting that it was all transactional. They both enjoyed it, but there were no feelings involved. They never chatted or talked on the phone. They planned their encounters at work. They were in the IT department, so leaving early was the norm there. They would finish their pending tasks from home at night. They would leave the office early, check into a hotel for a couple of hours, do their dirty deeds, and return to their partners as if nothing had happened. They especially met on Fridays when most employees left early and no one at the office suspected them. The lover also claimed that Jen pursued him and sought him out for sex. He showed a text message from her where she said, "No one has to know, just sex and nothing more. I promise, no strings attached." That crushed me. I never expected my wife to seek out other men for sex. It's a depressing feeling every time I reflect on the days I had no idea while she was sleeping around. There are too many questions. Why did she do this? Was I not enough for her? I stayed silent. She probably understood what I was going through. She broke the silence and told me, "Don't beat yourself up over this. Don't doubt yourself. You were good and enough for her, but some people just can't live in peace. They ruin everything for the adrenaline rush. It's her fault. This doesn't make you any less of a man." My heart was so heavy I could barely form a word. She hung up, saying, "I know it hurts, but maybe this blew up the way it did, so we could both finally get out of something that wasn't for us. The sooner, the better, right?" She was right. It's better to get out of a rotten relationship than to be consumed from within. It's depressing. I've signed up for therapy because I'm finding it hard to process. I hate to admit it, but she managed to completely catch me by surprise. The lover's wife messages me regularly. We don't talk much, just to check in on how we are and if there are any updates related to the legal process. That's it. Update 3: It's been 2 months since she was served with the divorce papers, but this isn't over yet. Her lawyer contacted mine, asking if I would consider mediation before finalizing the process. I flatly replied, "No, there's nothing to mediate when the trust is gone." From there, the legal drama only escalated. Her lawyer threatened countersuits and pressured me, accusing me of alienation of affection and emotional distress, citing that I leaked private videos, even though none were made public. My lawyer blocked every one of their attempts and insisted that nothing outside strictly legal boundaries would succeed. I could feel this was wearing her down, but she kept fighting. One afternoon, I received a message from a mutual friend that Jen had fainted at work. I didn't respond, and I didn't care. It turns out her lover's wife was in contact with one of his co-workers on Instagram, and somehow the information about Jen's encounters with her lover and the divorce leaked. Obviously, the juicy gossip became the talk of the office. Her co-workers started giving her dirty looks. The legal conflict, combined with the pressure at her job, stressed her to the max, and she probably fainted because of it. Around the same time, I received an email from her that said, "You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have recorded. You shouldn't have shared that with his wife. I always loved and cared for you. Did you even notice any red flags in me until you saw us? It was because it meant nothing, but you blew it all out of proportion." I couldn't believe her audacity and the way she tried to turn things around on me. She was the one who cheated, but she was blaming me for overreacting. I deleted the email and went for a walk. Both my therapist and my lawyer had warned me not to fall for her provocations or let her words get to me, so I just calmed down and pretended I never read it. Later, I found out she had filed for a temporary restraining order against me, alleging harassment through text messages. My lawyer responded immediately. The court rejected it, arguing that she herself had initiated the contacts, threatened lawsuits, among other things, but the attempt stunned me. Even now, she was trying to gain an advantage. The court ordered a final mediation hearing before the final divorce decree. Both parties had to appear. I sat across from her. She looked pale, more fragile than I had ever seen her, and she had lost weight. Her eyes no longer had their sparkle, only reflecting desperation. Before the mediator began, she asked to speak privately, alone with me. I agreed, more out of apathy than compassion. She told me softly, "I don't expect your forgiveness, but I've been seeing a counselor. He told me that before you walk out that door, I had to apologize face to face, not through a text or a lawyer, but to you and to Cleo, our cat. I know I can't expect closure, but I wanted to say it." I hesitated. My throat felt dry, but I remained silent. She insisted, "I know words mean nothing now, but I will always regret betraying you." I said nothing. I let the silence do the work. The mediation didn't resolve much, as most of the terms were already agreed upon. The divorce decree will most likely be finalized in a week. She is scheduled to completely vacate the house in 2 weeks and agreed to sell it. Some mutual friends say she's leaving town. Meanwhile, her lover's wife filed for full custody of their properties, their dog, and shared accounts, and responded to his divorce petition by denying him spousal support on the grounds that her husband had abandoned her. The irony was bitter. Since she already had the documents and evidence I sent her, his lawyers had a very tough time. Their divorce concluded with him being forced to pay a greatly reduced alimony, and she got full custody of the shared assets. The lover's wife and I still write to each other from time to time. She gives me updates on legal movements, and to clarify all the questions I received in the comments of my last post, no, I'm not interested in her at all. I barely know her. Our conversation has been solely about legal matters and without emotional venting, but I respect her strength. That's all. Update for it's been only 3 days since my last post and that mediation hearing, but what happened yesterday is something I truly did not see coming. The legal drama and everything else has come to an end in the most drastic way possible. Yesterday afternoon, I received a call from her brother. He was devastated. He informed me that Jen had taken her own life. According to what the police told him, she could no longer handle the pressure of losing her marriage, her reputation at work, and the rejection from her social circle. She drove her car to the main bridge on the outskirts of the city, left a note on the passenger seat explaining she couldn't live with the guilt or the weight of what she had caused, and jumped from the highest point. She landed directly on the river rocks and died instantly. I'm not going to lie. The news left me cold for a moment. You never expect a situation to escalate to this extreme or for the person you shared so many years with to end up like that. However, after the initial shock passed, a deep sense of apathy washed over me. At the end of the day, everyone makes their own decisions and bears the consequences of their actions. She dug her own grave. I had already closed that chapter of my life, and what happened, though tragic, is no longer my problem. With this, the entire legal process is absolutely over. The cat, Cleo, is staying with me for good, and now all that's left is to move forward with my life and focus on my own mental health. This is definitively the end of this story. Update 5, almost half a year has passed since my last post. I know many of you in the comments have been asking for an update on what happened to the lover, Trevor, after the chaotic end to this whole story. A few days ago, I received a call from his now ex-wife, with whom I still exchange an occasional message about pending legal matters, and she told me in detail about the miserable state that guy ended up in. Karma had no mercy on him. From what I learned, Trevor lost absolutely everything. After the divorce trial, his ex-wife got full custody of their properties and the majority of their shared accounts. To make matters worse, when the gossip about his affair with Jen spread completely throughout their workplace, the IT company he worked for decided to fire him immediately. With no references, no money, and a completely destroyed reputation, no one else in the industry would hire him. In a matter of months, he was on the streets without a roof over his head, living as a homeless person. But his downfall didn't end there. His ex-wife told me that, driven by the desperation of hunger and destitution, Trevor tried to break into a private property on the outskirts of the city. The homeowner had several guard dogs that brutally attacked him as soon as he set foot in the yard. The animals bit him ferociously on his limbs and especially on his face. By the time the police and medical assistance arrived, the damage was already done. Trevor survived the attack, but the dogs had torn the tissue on his face and jaw, leaving him permanently disfigured and missing several teeth. Since the property owner didn't press major charges after seeing the state he was in, the police simply let him go after he was released from the public hospital. Currently, he is a disfigured homeless man who wanders the streets, begging for money and living out of the trash. Hearing all this didn't bring me joy, just a cold satisfaction in knowing that life puts everyone in their place. As for me, things are much better. The change of apartment has been incredible for me. My new place is very comfortable, and the cat, Cleo, has adapted perfectly to this new environment. I'm focused on my work and on rebuilding my life from scratch, completely free from the toxicity of the past. A truly shocking turn of events. The lover ended up paying a very high price for his actions and the betrayal he caused. What do you think of this drastic outcome for Trevor? Do you think karma went too far, or did he get exactly what he sowed? Leave your opinions down below in the comments. I'll be reading them.